very shortly, we're going to make our way through the archway. When we do, look up. In there, you'll see the spikes of the portcullis. The portcullis over there, it dates from 1326. It weighs over 1.5 tons and it's held in position with a very, very small paperclip. So if there is anybody out there paying any attention whatsoever, you should realise we need to move through that archway very quickly. You said it, let's go. He'll use the Thames as a highway. So he had a hole knocked in the outer defensive wall, so at high tide, boats could pass through the gates and unload the cargoes in safety. Now, during the Tudor period, all the alleged traitors came through here. People like Queen Anne Boleyn, Queen Catherine Howard, Lady Jane Grey, who was the uncrowned Queen of 9 Days, and even the young Princess Elizabeth Tudor, later to become Queen Elizabeth I. They made their way through the gates by boat, landed at these very steps. They were met here by the Yeoman jailer and their escort of Yeoman warders, then led through the archway of the Bloody Tower, taken through to their dungeons or cells to await their fate, which for some was only a short journey to their place of execution. Above Traitor's Gate, you'll see St Thomas Tower, named in honour of a former constable here, St Thomas of Becket, who was murdered on the steps of Canterbury Cathedral on the 29th December 1170. Happy Christmas. The entranceway to the area, the staircase to your right, takes you up the stairs through that doorway. You just point out the doorway. You just point to the door. Both arms. That's better, well done. Get back in your cell. Behind you they were good, weren't they? They were good. Behind you to the left is the Wakefield Tower. After the Battle of Wakefield, during the War of the Roses, over 200 Yorkist prisoners were forced into the lower chamber and left to die in appalling conditions. The upper chamber is where it's reported by tradition on the 21st of May 1471 that King Henry VI was stabbed to death whilst at prayer. He is known as the Monk King. They do say every now and again the ghost of a monk is seen walking through that area, if you believe in that kind of thing. But behind you here is the Bloody Tower, most famous for the alleged murder of the 2 boy princes at the end of the summer, the year 1483. King Edward V and his younger brother, Richard, Duke of York, aged 12 and 9 respectively. It's claimed they were stabbed and smothered to death whilst living in that tower under the protection of their uncle, who was Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, who in July 1483 crowned himself King Richard III. The little bodies were bundled down the stairs, deep down into the lower Wakefield Tower, and down there they're hidden under a pile of stones, only until the next day, when an unknown priest, he moved the bodies to a secret burial site under the stairs on the south side of the White Tower. They remained there undisturbed for 191 years until 1674, when workmen, during the reign of King Charles II, they came upon a chest, and when they opened that chest to look inside, to their shock, not treasure, to their horror, skeletons. Experts declared they were indeed the 2 missing princes. So in order of the king, they moved to Westminster Abbey and reinterred there in what is now known as Innocents' Corner, where they remain to this very day. The tower itself, well, originally they called it the Garden Tower, but they changed that name during the reign of Elizabeth I. Firstly, it was a Tower of Blood, but she didn't like it. She thought it was far too gruesome. So the experts, they were sent away to think again, and they did. They came back with a new idea. The Bloody Tower. Much better. And it's remained the same ever since, to remember all the people murdered inside that tower. Now, very shortly, we're going to make our way through the archway. When we do, look down to your left. You'll see a small metal ring, a reminder of the times when boats on the river could actually tie up at the archway before they pushed the river back, raised the road 12 feet when they built the outer wall. Either side of the archway, there are 2 spike bars installed on the orders of the Iron Duke, the Duke of Wellington, to stop his soldiers hiding in the corners and secretly smoking their pipes whilst on sentry. Yes! The first smoking ban in the world was here in this archway. Unlike everything, we had it first. As we pass through here, look up into the portcullis. There, you'll see cobwebs left by spiders, twice as big as my hand, 3 times as hairy. If you are looking up there, please remember there are mice running around your feet. Let's go. Site, where 6 people have been executed so far. We have space for more, I can assure you. Where did it take place? The grassed area down to your left is where they erected the scaffold. On the day of an execution, it was taken down again straight afterwards. I'll tell you about some of the executions very shortly. In the meantime, we'll surround you here on Tower Green. So first of all, look down to your left, end of the pathway beyond the trees, a square tower. That is the Bloody Tower. This pathway is the route to the entrance. In there, you can find out some more information about a few of the other people who were murdered inside that very tower. Now please remember, we murdered people indoors. We executed them outdoors. Have you all got that part? Then I shall continue. Over there in the far corner, a perfectly preserved Tudor residence. It's called the Queen's House because it is the Queen's House. And it was built in 1540 in the reign of King Henry VIII. Many important prisoners have been held there over the years. In 1542, Queen Catherine Howard, she was held there for her adulterous affairs. 1554, Lady Jane Grey, the uncrowned Queen of 9 Days, she too a prisoner of that building, and the youngest victim executed over there at the age of 16. Moving on a couple of centuries, we get to Rudolf Hess, the deputy leader of Nazi Germany, who became the last state prisoner of the Tower in May of 1941. That's but a few of the many prisoners held there over the years. It's now the home of the Constable. So General Horton is the 160th Constable of the Tower. He lives there with his family. Why? Because he is the person appointed by Her Majesty the Queen to look after the Tower in her absence. And that's why he gets to live there. It's not bad, is it? I'm after that one. I think the expression no chance springs to mind there, but there you go. To the left of that, houses to the left with light blue doors. Some of my colleagues and their families, they live there. There are about 130 people that live at the tower at all times. There are 29 houses in the outer wall and 14 inside this area. And it breaks down as 6 officers of the tower and 37 warders, all with their families. In front of you is the Beauchamp Tower. Behind that large arched window is one of our main state prison rooms. In here, there are some 91 medieval graffitis. They're carvings in the wall. The last mark of prisoners before they were taken for their execution or release, whichever came first. But some of those carvings there are more than 550 years old. They're well worth a look at, and the entranceway to the area is where the blue lamppost is. Moving to the right, the first house you come to is the residence of the Tower Doctor. But next door to him, if he gets it wrong, we put the chaplain. Makes good sense to us.